Manfield, who is chasing, he's actually running away from two players chasing him in the Player of the Year standings. Let's see if Seth Manfield can add some points to his heady pro point total this weekend. He's going to need a top 8 to do that, though. And he's off to a great start here. 8-0 with Black-Red Aggro, and he's playing against Jeff Chow, Black-Red Aggro. And let's be plain about this, Eduardo. We're going to see a lot of Black-Red Aggro here on day 2 from some of the top players in this tournament.
Yeah, and we are. It's just, reality is both these players want to do as best as they can, and they feel that this is the deck to do it because it gives them the best, the most options in terms of play. It's worth noting that while this is Black-Red Aggro, so to speak, Jeff is much more on the aggressive plan, deciding to play the full 4 copies of Bomat Courier, as has been standard in a lot of these red aggro decks, while Seth is playing the card Cinder Barons. When you play Cinder Barons in your deck, that's usually a sign that you're going a little more as a commitment into having access to black mana. For example, if Vraska's Contempt in the sideboard, double black. And when you do that, you can't really run Bomat Courier and Cinder Barons in the same deck. There's kind of a dissonance there. So Seth is a little more mid-rangey, let's say.
And we see a card in Seth's graveyard like Cut to Ribbons, and having that heavier reliance on black gives you more access to the aftermath of that card.
Right, and Cut Ribbons, a very efficient way to deal with key cards in the red mirrors. It deals with Phoenix as well as a Braid would, but it also deals with Glorybringer, which you have to at some point get, while it does have value. And yeah, these mirrors do come down mostly first to board position, and then once life totals are low, it's about how you can push that damage through.
Right. So board position here is Scrap Heap Scrounger, Thopter Token, and Chandra versus Rekindling Phoenix and Scrap Heap Scrounger from Seth Manfield. So Chandra ticks up to reveal Chandra. Seth's at 11, so that's a real clock here.
Right, and Chandra being at less life is, at less loyalty here because of that attack from Scrap Heap Scrounger. One thing I see players not do enough of is add mana, because Jeff had access to Glorybringer in hand. Jeff may not have wanted to play Glorybringer, and in that case you would want to plus Chandra, but just as a strategic point of view, maybe not exactly in this game, it's really important to note that not enough players decide to commit to having Chandra add mana, and that's probably the most powerful ability on Chandra, Torch of Defiance.
Here we see a second Thopter token made by P and Nalar. That's what that dice represents. It's not a plus counter, it's a second copy of the Thopter. There's 2 of them there.
And here,
wow, yeah. There's a Goblin Chain Whirler.
Yeah.
Just you see the real power of that card. Ticks Chandra down a loyalty as well.
We're not seeing Chandra for long. Jeff just does not have any defenses left. And I do wonder about these last couple of turns. Jeff had the option to prevent free damage on Chandra so that if a Rekindling Phoenix had come down, Jeff would have been able to, say, minus the Chandra and maybe drawn a removal spell, but the Chandra had more mana, more loyalty would have given Jeff some options here. Ultimately, though, the way this played out really favored Seth. Phoenix is one of these premier cards.
And now
just
Braid
pushing.
Clears the Pia out of the way. Scrap Heap Scrounger's going to go at Chandra, and Rekindling Phoenix is going to go at Jeff Chow.
Yeah, and you can see how these boards can change really quickly. Pia Nalar is a really powerful card, but the reason you only see 2 copies in most of these decks is not just because it's a legendary card, creature, and you wouldn't want too many. You would see more of it if it wasn't for Goblin Chain Whirler. Goblin Chain Whirler forces creatures that have 1 toughness into a position where you're kind of forced to respect that you need some value or payoff for that X1 creature.
All right, so Goblin Chain Whirler comes down from Jeff Chow.
Certainly not as powerful as Seth's.
No, but it'll keep the other Chain Whirler at bay. Certainly keep the Scrap Heap Scrounger home.
Right. But at this point, I think with these life tolls, Seth should be happy enough coming in with a Rekindling Phoenix, assuming that Seth has access to another creature. Without another creature that gets closer, but I think, with that 6 land, Seth has access to ribbons in the graveyard, so 2 attacks with Phoenix plus ribbons from the graveyard would be lethal damage. And
he's only got to get Jeff to 4 here so he can finish him off with that card.
Yeah. But Seth is going to be conscious and mindful that Jeff might have access to Glorybringer and is just missing that 5th mana.
All right, we're going to see Chandra Torture Defiance from Seth Manfield. And by the way, now he only needs, if Chandra lives a turn, he only needs to get Jeff to 6.
Yeah. And I really like this play from Seth to kill the Chain Whirler. And this attack is... because Chandra can produce mana or deal 2 extra damage, only dealing 3 rather than 4 is okay, because Jeffin is a position where attacking the Chandra is just not a really realistic proposition, and Seth could either plus Chandra for that 2 damage, or an attack from Jeff would make Seth able to do the extra damage.
Why is Seth keeping the Rekindling Phoenix back here?
Simply put, you can block the Scrap Heap Scrounger, get that 0/1 token, and you don't mind if the 0/1 token dies, because you still have access to ribbons. Although here, I think I would just let the Chandra die, to be honest, to the Scrap Heap Scrounger. I think the Phoenix is here in case a Glorybringer comes down, because Seth is at exactly 8. So if Glorybringer came down and Seth had not kept the Phoenix at bay, that would just be lethal damage.
Oh, wow.
Jeff would not exert. It would just be straight up 8, and that'd be it. With the Phoenix back, if Jeff decides to exert a Glorybringer, that would make a 0/1 token. Seth can chump block, win. I think Seth attacking here with the Phoenix would have been really dangerous, and
would have been foolhardy. Well, there you go, and Jeff agrees. He's like, all right, you got me. All right, well, we're jumping ahead here to Game 3. Jeff Zhao managed to even things up. And let's see how this final game plays out between these two black-red aggro decks.
Standard players, if anyone has
By the way, the last game really showcased the power of Rekindling Phoenix and these red mirrors, just because it is such a good defensive card.
Yeah, even against Glorybringer, one of the best possible cards Jeff could have had there that would have otherwise given him a win.
Yeah,
against any other creature.
Yeah, Jeff would have needed a land, but I believe Jeff had the Glorybringer in hand, and
All right, here's Scrap Heap Scrounger powering up Heart of Kirin for Seth Manfield.
Without a braid here from Jeff, this is putting Seth in a very favorable position.
Yeah.
Oh, Magma Spray should at least stem some of this.
All right, Magma Spray is great. A permanent answer to that Scrap Heap Scrounger. The perfect tool for the job there.
Yeah, I mean, that's why you boarded Magma Spray. The target is on Scrap Heap Scrounger. You can also use Magma Spray combined with, say, a Goblin Chain Whirler or even a Chandra and overkill a Rekindling Phoenix.
And worth mentioning, this Scrap Heap Scrounger, these decks, black-red, the black is largely... Oh, wow. Here we see a Doomfall from Seth Manfield.
Yeah. Doomfall is like one of these cards that's never amazing, but always okay.
Which seems like a dangerous weapon to put in the hands of Seth Manfield.
Exactly. It is probably one of the cleanest possible answers, though, to Rekindling Phoenix, so you would board it in for that reason.
Sees 2 copies of Unlicensed Disintegration, sees a Chandra's Defeat.
And a Chandra's Defeat.
And another Chandra's Defeat. Thank you.
The worst news for...
Sees both feet.
Yeah, both feet, yeah. Oh my. The worst news when you're trying to duress your opponent or Thoughtseize or coercion, whatever effect you would like to call this, is seeing, you literally have 2 of each effect. And Seth really unhappy because when your opponent has tons of cards in hand, you're trying to dismantle their plan. And right now Jeff's hand has one plan, kill everything. Takes the Unlicensed Disintegration because while Chandra's Defeat is very efficient, it doesn't deal with Heart of Kirin, forcing Jeff in a position where he's probably going to have to use it on Heart of Kirin.
All right, here's Goblin Chain Whirler.
I'm just going to pause real quick and let the Grand Prix...
Good old Super Nessian Courser. For those who don't know what Nessian Courser does, free for 2 and a green. But yeah. The first strike on Chain Whirler has shocked me as to how relevant it is. It makes these board-centric matchups like a nightmare to navigate.
Okay.
All right, well, we're going to see another Doomfall. Sounds like I'm not worried about duplicates. I've got my own duplicates.
Right, and that was a really important card to play because these 2 artifact threats, and this is the problem with Chandra's Defeat, very efficient, very powerful. Not exactly the tool you want against a board of Heart of Kirin and Scrap Heap Scrounger, though.
Yeah, Heart of Kirin has taken 2 big chunks out of Jeff Zhao's life total. Cycles a Canyon Slough.
Yeah, we don't talk about like the mana bases of these deck that much, but the fact that you have these cycle lands that give you this ability to both play the 25 and 26 lands you really need in these 4 or 5 drop heavy decks, while not flooding out as much, is really helps a lot. The attack here is ambitious. If Jeff doesn't have an answer to... Actually, I'm not sure this attack was... Okay, I'm not sure about that attack.
Well, Rekindling Phoenix comes down, crews up the heart, and Seth just swings in for 7 here.
Yeah, and this is why I'm not sure about this attack. You're not racing here. You're not racing in a way that gives you any chance in the game. And it's very easy for Seth to just play a creature and attack with Heart and Scrap Heap Scrounger. So I think taking racing free damage here is putting yourself in a really tough position. I also believe here that Jeff should have waited a turn to kind of see what Jeff would have played. Jeff would have drawn. Just because if you draw Chain Whirler, you don't need to spend away that Chandra's Defeat, and you can keep it for a later creature.
All right, well, Soul Scar Mage is the play.
At least the one thing about that swing of free damage that's important is that it doesn't change the clock too much, but it does mean that Seth can top deck Chandra or Chain Whirler for lethal. Okay, Hour of Glory here.
Yeah.
Very critical.
He's going to be able to kill the Heart of Kirin.
Yeah.
And Seth has just not had a lot of action other than those 2 cards, and now he's on Scrap Heap Scrounger, which can't get through that Goblin Chain Whirler.
Quite likely, Seth has access to 1 or 2 removal spells in hand, and simply didn't need to deploy them since the plan was just to attack with Heart. And now that Jeff has a board and Seth doesn't, Seth will probably try to deploy those removal spells at a key time.
All right, Soul Scar Mage is going to chip in.
Yeah, that's fine. You don't really want to chop block a Scrap Heap Scrounger in the spot, especially with Pia. That makes sense.
Yeah, and there's Pia Noir. 2 blockers for Jeff Zhao right now, and eventually a source of damage.
Yeah, and again, I don't want to harp on too much about this trade of free damage that happened earlier on, but because Jeff had attacked, Jeff could have been at 8 and done that attack in the end.
Well, here is Vraska's Contempt at the end of turn on the Goblin Chain Whirler. That's going to at least allow the Scrap Heap Scrounger to trade for something if Jeff wants to kill it in combat.
Yeah, I think here you would block with the Thopter and boost it. And the rationale here is you don't want to... Well, we know Seth doesn't have a Goblin Chain Whirler. This would have been played pre-combat for sure. The thing is, the Thopter has low value if the Pia goes away. So this is why I would like the Thopter to block here rather than the Pia.
Well, Jeff decides he wants the clean trade. Goes with the Pia. Yeah. And there's a Rekindling Phoenix for Seth Manfield.
And that's the key reason why Jeff probably decided to block with the Pia rather than the Thopter. Have the ability to block for 1 more turn. So, yeah, that is important. It's worth noting that, again, there was 1 Rekindling Phoenix already, so there were less odds for a second one.
Sure.
And Glorybringer would be able to exert and kill the Thopter. So I still am not... I'm not 100% sure what would have been correct here, but it's interesting to see like that decision point.
Jeff Zhao's already had to 2-for-1 himself once to deal with a Rekindling Phoenix. Only has 1 card in hand to work with right now.
Yeah, that Hour of Glory had to be used on the Heart of Kirin. It certainly wanted to get a Phoenix more.
All right, in comes Rekindling Phoenix. Is Jeff Zhao going to go to 1, or is he going to chump block with this token and hope for an answer?
I think here you have to chump
yeah,
block.
Does not want to go to 1.
You can't just decide to... I mean, if you draw an answer for the Rekindling Phoenix, you don't want to just die to quite a few top decks from Seth.
All right, there's a Scrap Heap Scrounger. Another cycle from Seth Manfield.
Yeah,
and he has a creature. He's going to return his Scrap Heap Scrounger.
Yeah,
getting rid of his Rekindling Phoenix.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why Jeff didn't attack with a Soul Scar Mage, just kind of a forced play. So Seth will attack, Jeff will be forced to block. And I don't think there's...
Goes to 1 and nothing.
Yeah, I don't think Jeff can draw anything. I think we're just done here. Although, wait, was that? No, I probably missed.
There's a Heart of Kirin.
I mean, yeah.
Jeff's at 1, so this is just lethal. The Scrap Heap Scrounger cannot block.
If Jeff has a removal spell, Jeff can survive, but it's not a very long time. The
Right.
Phoenix would come back.
He would need to rip a Chain Whirler on his next turn.
Oh, well, I guess we're done. Okay.
Or is there a discrepancy over life total here?
I mean,
Oh, okay. Looks like Jeff may not have known what his life total was. I don't know.
I think it's okay in this spot. Like sometimes it leads to awkward situations, but here Jeff had just no options, so there's no real issue. It's not like Jeff could have really adapted play in that situation.
All right, Seth Manfield wins 2-1 over Jeff Chow. He goes to 9-0 here at Grand Prix Richmond. Great start for Seth Manfield as he looks for a top 8 berth to improve his position in the Player of the Year race.
Yeah, I mean, just pushing. I mean, doing what Seth does best, right?
All right, we've got more Magic coming up for you next round. I know we're going to try to keep floating Luis Salvato and Seth Manfield through the feature match area, and I can tell you we'll bring another member of that Player of the Year race, Reed Duke, into the booth next round along with Marshall Sutcliffe to call all the action.